Hey everybody, this is Vic Whaley,
And Marcus D.
and I'd like to welcome you back for another Candlelight Case File. And today we're talking about the Montauk Monster.
On July 12th, 2008, Jenna Hewitt and three of her friends went down to the beach. When they were down there, they noticed that a crowd of people had gathered around something that had washed up onto the shore of the beach. To say that the creature was bizarre would be an understatement, and thus the legend of the Montauk Monster was born. News quickly circulated of the strange creature that had washed up on the beach, and several news outlets around the local area and the national area started to pick up on this strange creature that had washed up onto the shores of Montauk, New York. The Montauk Monster has been featured on popular news networks such as Fox News and other popular shows such as Jesse Ventura's Conspiracy Theories and Ancient Aliens. Though two major mysteries of the story of the Montauk Monster still remain: what it is and what happened to the body.
Okay, Marcus, let's get into some of the stuff that people claim it might be.
Okay, let's try to figure out what is this thing? What could it be?
And when you first look at it, it looks kind of like a monster. But when you get into things that are decaying and stuff like that, well, things start to look a little odd.
You don't want to take that thing home and cuddle it?
I super do not want to do that. But some of the things that people say that they think it might be, one is a sheep, but we got a few notable problems with that.
It's missing the wool.
Well, clearly it's missing the wool, Marcus.
I was pointing out the obvious.
But the large set of canines on there is a pretty dead giveaway. It's definitely not a sheep.
Well, I don't think sheep have those sharp teeth.
No, they don't. They're missing it.
Like you see on the bottom part of the jawline.
Oh yeah, another common one that people claim is that it's some form of canine. But one of the problems with that is there's some problems with the skull, but most predominantly the hands and feet they just don't match right for a canine.
Really good at playing dead.
It's very good at playing dead. Some people also say they believe it might be a rodent, but once again, we can go to the teeth on that. Everything the rodent family has those long sets of teeth at the very front.
And I do not want to see the restaurant that thing crawled out of.
Oh, I don't want to think about that thing being in a restaurant. But some people even pitch the idea that it might be a sea turtle, and I think we can mark that one straight out. One, you can't just take a turtle out of its shell and it'd just be fine.
No, like the shells are fused to the spine of a turtle, so when you take it out, there's a huge noticeable line going down their backs when you see it. It's obvious.
Oh yeah. Also, that lower set of teeth is a problem, and most people make this comparison because of the top part of the jaw does appear to be a beak.
And it has knees and elbows.
Yeah, that too. But I think that's not a beak that we're looking at. I think that's the upper part of the jaw, and the teeth have just rotted out. I think if you flip that thing over, you would see the areas where the teeth would fall into.
Probably some sort of mammalian bits.
Oh yeah, if this is a known creature, this is a mammal. This carries a lot of very mammalian features. The final one that people state is the one I think is the most likely, which would be it could possibly be some sort of raccoon. But at the same time, we do have a few issues with that. The legs just aren't quite right for being a raccoon. There's also, once again, a few things around the skull that make me think this doesn't quite look like a raccoon. And the final one, I did look at a lot of pictures of rotting raccoons, which was very unfortunate that I had to go through and look at those. But I didn't see anything that quite matched up with this, although I'm not ready to throw that one straight out yet. Okay, Marcus, what do the experts have to say on it?
If you ask the experts, they point to this thing being a raccoon. Okay? Popular people that have taken a crack at the Montauk Monster. You got Darren Nash, who's a well-known paleozoologist. You got Jeff Corwin, who's a notable biologist. He's an Animal Planet network producer. Lauren Coleman, who's a notable cryptozoologist connected to Monster Quest, shows like that, really several books. They all point to this thing being a raccoon. They say that the things, the legs, the skull problems, the body shape, it's all just due to it just from decomposing and being in the water for so long.
Okay, Marcus, so it sounds like everyone's in pretty much agreement about being a raccoon. Am I right?
Well, no, I mean, that's kind of why we're making the video here. I mean, not everybody agrees this thing is a raccoon. I mean, if you go on to the website that's set up for the Montauk Monster, we'll put a link in the description below so you guys can check it out. It's a really good website. Check it out, guys. The biggest critiques to what they say, what these experts are claiming, is that the legs are not proportionate for a raccoon. You'll hear some people say that in the photo, the legs are too short to be a raccoon. I've heard people say that the legs are too long for it to be a raccoon. And there's real criticism on the skull shape. I mean, it makes it difficult because of the decomposition of the animal in the photo. But most of the people that claim that it's not a raccoon, they talk about that the skull does not match up with a raccoon.
There are a few other arguments out there floating around the web on what this might be. Some people claim that it's a mutant hybrid between multiple animals, some sort of scientifically created chimera, or possibly even an alien entity. Well, in truth, I don't think any of these really hold very much weight. There's nothing about its biology that says it would need to be some of these things. There's nothing in it that would imply xenobiology. There's nothing in it that would necessitate it having multiple types of DNA within or being a combination of multiple animals.
I mean, most people that do say that, they point to like the skin tone and the texture of it. In actuality, when something is submerged in warm water for that long, what happens is the skin starts forming this waxy residue on the outside of it, which can give it this kind of greenish, kind of blackish tint to it. And also the body's floating, so it's probably sunburned, which explains some of the reddish and pinkish spots on the animal.
But there is something that we definitely can't move on past without discussing, and that's the nearby location of Plum Island.
So, okay, guys, in 1954, the United States government wanted to begin research on studying diseases that targeted animals, most specifically foot and mouth disease, which targets bovine type animals, like hoof type animals. The main problem that they had was that the United States government could not study this disease on the mainland. So their solution to the problem? Plum Island. A little island right off the mainland where they could set up a research facility. And in 2003, the Department of Homeland Security took over management of Plum Island. So why is this relevant? Plum Island is considered a biosafety class 3 facility, meaning that it studies all diseases that may jump the species barrier between animals and humans. So this includes things like foot and mouth disease, possibly bird flu, Lyme disease for sure. The only level higher than this is a biosafety level 4 facility, which studies the most deadly diseases on the planets, like Ebola.
So something you all might be asking yourselves out there, what does all this have to do with the Montauk Monster?
Well, that's because we think this was a diseased animal from Plum Island.
One of the important things to note here is that even though we've been focusing on the first case, the one that was the most famous one, this isn't a solely isolated incident. There are several other ones that popped up. For example, Old Lyme, Connecticut, 2 of them in Long Island, and Beakersfield as well. And for the most part, they're all around Plum Island.
And why is this important? Because there have been 2 known outbreaks from Plum Island. One in 1978 and again in August of 2004. Okay, there were 2 outbreaks of foot and mouth disease from this island.
This establishes a pattern that there are flaws within their containment systems. We could be looking at something where it's a containment breach, where these animals had been tested on, gotten out, ended up in the tide, and just ended up washing their way onto shore. Another possibility is that these are animals that have been tested on, and they were improperly disposed of.
And I mean, we know that they're testing for Lyme disease. We know they're testing for foot and mouth disease. We know they're testing for all these other sorts of diseases. Imagine what the federal government is researching there that we don't know about. I mean, I think it's very easy to assume that there probably is some sort of research going on there that we that we didn't know about.
Another interesting note. One might think that a lot of these would be lost to predation, and as you look at most of these corpses, there's only very minor signs of predation going on. Studies have shown many animals at least have the capability to smell out if something's diseased or not. And the nail in the coffin for Plum Island's involvement, the most damnable piece of evidence is,
when Plum Island closed in 2014, the bodies stopped showing up on these beaches.
Yeah, you indirectly make a correlation between Plum Island shutting down and these things stopping showing up.
Go on the website for the Montauk Monster. Nothing past 2014 when they closed down, when the federal government was thinking about moving it to Kansas.
Now, like we said at the beginning of this whole thing, there are two important questions to answer, and one of them we kind of neglected up to this point. Whatever happened to the body?
I don't know. Maybe it's the conspiracy theorist in me. There's a lot of weirdness about what happens with this body, okay? Because the story just kind of trails off with what happens to it. And there's several different theories as to what happens to this body. There's a guy shows up and just tosses it in his truck and it disappears. There's the girl's family takes the body and hides it. There's some guy picks up and then buries it in the woods. I mean, it just disappears and nobody ever hears anything about this body of this bizarre creature that was on national news. Okay, and I think if the federal government saw some diseased animal from Plum Island on the Fox News, maybe they're going to do something about making this body disappear. Probably not something they want connected back to them.
Hey guys, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of One Candle Paranormal Case File.
We really want to thank you guys for tuning in this video. We had a lot of fun making it, so we hope you guys enjoyed it. If there's anything that you guys think that we left out in this video, please leave it in the comments. We love to hear your guys' feedback. Trust me, we'll respond and we'll get back to you if you have any questions or comments. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We love our subscribers, and share the video if you liked it. And as always, keep believing,
because we'll keep listening.